Well guys, welcome to Lausanne on the banks of Lake Geneva. You can see the Alps there, just way over there in the distance. And this is part 2 of my mini-series of playing the exact same player twice in 2 weeks on the PSA Tour. Now this is a second 6K in 2 weeks for me. The guy I'm playing today is seeded 1 for the event and he's 89 in the world, Tang Ming Hong from Hong Kong. Now, if you haven't seen the first part, I'd recommend you to go and see that first to give you some context. But I'm playing him again today. I beat him 3-love last week, which was the biggest win of my career, and it was a very tight third game, could have gone either way. I'm expecting this match to be a lot tougher. I came through yesterday, I beat the wildcard 3-love, so I'm feeling good and I'm ready to try and replicate my win of last week. Join me as I analyse this match and see the similarities and differences and what I learned from last week and how I'm going to implement it tonight. So join me.
Okay, here we go then. I've finally got round to analysing this match. I've had pretty busy few weeks with training and tournaments, so I haven't quite had time to put the video together and do the analysis, but yeah, this is actually the third time of me watching this match. I've watched it on my own, I've watched it with my parents, so yeah, third time of watching. Here's the first rally, and yeah, let's get into it. So first of all, just you sort of at the start of the match look to find your corners. I like to try and take in some straight drops just like that, and yeah, just get a feel for the court. I was a little bit too cramped on that backhand there, and that's why I ended up flicking it into a post and got under pressure from him. I'm saying his shot was out on the sidewall there, but looks like it was probably okay. So yeah, that one technical error of being too close on the backhand has put me 1-0 down. I'm now 2-0 down, bit of loss of concentration, probably could do with not chatting to the ref there. But anyway, you've got to try and reset now. Hopefully I use this rally to reset, find my length again, and yeah, got a bit lucky there. Tang Ming Hong had a bit of a tendency, what I learnt from the match previously, to go for more shots than me, but he hit more winners, but he actually hit a lot more errors as well. So I was confident that if I could maintain a good amount of pressure to the back of the court and take in some straight drops and clever attacks with a margin, not going too low, close to the tin, that I could eventually work some errors out of him. Now you can see here he's hit 2 errors and let me straight back into 2-all. So yeah, this means I've got to have a balance between not being negative. I still have to try and push up and apply pressure to him, but I can do it in a slightly safer way, with getting on the ball quickly, volleying, hitting down on the ball, hitting a dying length, and then when I take it in, I don't have to be as close to the tin, and I can just run it in tight and force some errors from him. But anyway, a bit of a lengthier rally here, and we'll see what happens. See if he does tin out or if he hits a winner. Because last week I'd played him, the week before this I mean, and actually beaten him 3-love. He made way too many tins in the first game, and then sort of almost too many tins in the second game, and then barely any tins by the third game, or not as many. So he did get better as the match went on. See here, I've just hit a winner to the back of the court. This is the kind of stuff that I want to promote against a player like Tang Ming Hong, hitting a dying length, so he's having to flick the ball out of the back corners, and players that like to attack, he'll then attack from behind me at the back of the court rather than attacking in front of me if I can get my length through like I am here. And then when he attacks from behind me, I come in front, and I'm counter-attacking him in front of him, like this exchange has gone here. So yeah, he takes it in, that come in as well. But yeah, that's the idea. So yeah, as I was saying, he made gradually less errors throughout the match, and then it ended up getting very tight in the third game the week previously. But I managed to just close it out. I think it was 13-11 in that third, so I did well to close that one out and end up coming through 3-love. But if he ends up finding his shots a bit earlier this time, you never know. Like it could get tough. So you've got to focus more on yourself, I think. But it's also good to be aware of your opponent. If I can see that he's starting to not make as many errors, I'm going to have to rethink the game plan slightly, and yeah, try and frustrate him a bit more and just execute my shots even better. One thing I am actually noticing, which I mentioned at the start of the match, is my backhand becoming slightly cramped. I'm getting a little bit too close to the ball. It's quite interesting for me actually to watch this now that it's actually probably a month or maybe 5 weeks ago that I played this match, because I've changed a lot of things in the last 5 weeks actually. I've had a new coach the last 6 months, so we've been working on lots of things, like these straight drops. That's nice. This is positive stuff from me, coming in, softening up the hands, something that I've always struggled with. On those straight drops, you really want to sink with your knees and your hips, and not grip the racket too tightly. You want to have a firmish grip, but you just want to be able to hold it softly, feel the ball on the strings, and just caress it into the front basically. Softer hands will help you take the pace off of the ball when going short. But anyway, as I was saying, I've changed a few things with this new coach, Miles Jenkins, who also played on the tour and just recently retired, but he got to 100 in the world. So he played to a very good level. But we've been working on a few things, and the backhand is something, getting more space on both sides generally, but I can get a bit tucked in on the backhand like this here, that one there. You just saw me kind of flick. I'm not sure if it's obvious, but to me it's obvious because I can see it on myself. I get too close, end up flicking it cross court, rather than being able to stay away from the ball and get like a full swing around it. I'm ended up too close and having to use my wrist to flick at the ball. So for you guys watching this, just remember, especially on the backhand, it's easy to get cramped. You can actually hang back off the ball longer and then step into it and hit it. And getting more space will allow you to hit a more powerful shot as well as a more accurate shot. So that's a big thing. Think about your space when you're on court and when you're hitting the ball, and it will help with your timing of the shot. There I've served it down the middle of the court at his feet. There I'm either looking for him to try and adjust quickly and flick it off his feet and hit a loose ball for me to attack, or I'm looking for him to leave it off the back wall, and then I'll try and creep across and cut off his return of serve, volley it put me into an attacking position. It's good to just have a couple of variations of serve. Don't just do the same serve every single time. Serve a few down the middle like that at his feet, and then serve a couple of lob serves, a couple forehand serves or backhand serves, because otherwise that will happen. If you do the same serve every time, they can start to anticipate it and go for nicks or a winner off the serve. Now that's just a poor serve from me. That wasn't at his feet, at his body, or at the sidewall. Those are the options really, or high up on the lob serve. It was neither of those. It was just straight down the middle onto his forehand. There's a lefty, that's his forehand, and just slapped it into the nick. He's a skillful player, so I got punished for the poor serve there. But anyway, this is all right. I'm trying to volley here, trying to cut the ball off. My length has dropped off a little bit, which is why he's able to push up onto the tee and take a few more volleys on like this. But I've just got to focus on hitting my lines, countering straight when he takes me in. And that was good. You could see there he was a bit laboured on his movement cross court. That was something that I picked up from last week, and something that I used a tiny bit in this match, but not enough. I remember going through this with my coach. He was saying it's great that I'm trying to attack his backhand, because that's, as a four-handed player playing against someone who's left-handed, as a right-handed player playing someone who's left-handed, it's preferable for the right-hander to attack the left-hander's backhand, because usually they have quite a strong forehand, and you can use your own forehand to attack their backhand. So yeah, you can put a lot of pressure down that backhand. Anyway, I ended up winning that game with another tin from him, so good general pressure for me, and I'm 1 love up going into this second game. Anyway, carrying on with what I was saying, so I'm attacking a lot of straight balls down the right hand side of the court, which is my forehand and his backhand, but I can't just attack that side every time, otherwise he's just going to stand there and anticipate it every time. I still have to switch onto his forehand every now and then to keep him honest, and that was the second to last point, which I won, cross-courting onto his forehand, where I said his movement was a bit laboured. He's anticipating me to smack it down his backhand again, and then I've switched it. So that was a nice variation, which I could have actually used more in the match, and I didn't. Making a lot of straight stuff down this right-hand side. I'll probably try and switch it back. There we go. Switch it back to my forehand again. Which is great, but I could have attacked cross-court a little bit more. I tried there, but the width wasn't good enough, and now he's volleying me and putting me under some pressure. So I need to try and reset with height like that, or some straight tight shots. But he's got me running a bit in this rally. Height again. When you're under pressure, use height to relieve the pressure. This gives you time to get back to the tee and get in front of your opponent, and gives you time for you to reset as well. Just try and straighten up or use height when you're under pressure. But yeah, one thing I learned actually from my psychologist when I was at university, I actually graduated a few months ago, so I'm just playing squash now. I was at the University of Birmingham, but from the psychologist there, I was sort of saying when I'm under pressure I end up just lifting until I eventually lose the point. So what helped me there, which I think would be a good little thing to drop in for you guys watching, is that yes, you want to lift when you're under pressure, but you actually have to work so hard to try and look for ways how you can flip that pressure. So you don't want to just be under pressure lift the entire time. She was kind of telling me maximum 3 lifts in a row before you then hit a harder shot again. Now it's not as set rules as that. You might have to do 4 lifts or whatever it is, but just try and think when you're lifting, how can I flip the pressure now? Even if you've lifted and they've hit an alright shot, but you can use your feet to get on it really quickly and try and flip the pressure and hit it hard past them again. Don't just lift and hope that they're going to let you back in. You have to search for it yourself and create your own chances. Anyway, this got lucky with that one there. I remember this rally actually. It was a really long, tough rally, and I was sort of thinking, God, surely he's going to hit an error at some point. And then I overhit my length straight into the backward mitt. So that was a sigh of relief when that happened. Yeah, lob serve for me here, not quite good enough into the sidewall, but it was okay. So that's another serve variation. More exchanges down the right hand side. He's trying to switch it onto my backhand. I've got to straighten up. Yeah, let's see what he's got in there. Another tin from him, I think. Yeah. that, to be fair, that looks like just a poor tin from him, which in certain senses it is, but actually I've been working quite hard on this forehand to get behind the ball and show short and hit long. I'm not just hitting it to length every time. I'm trying to show the long drop off the back wall and then hit the deep shot, a bit like James Willstrop does on the backhand. If you've seen James Willstrop play, he's got an unbelievable backhand drop from the back of the court. So on this forehand here, I'm just trying to show that shot and then push it deep again, which moves their tee position slightly forwards when they think you're going to hit a drop, and then you hit it to the back. And that's what happened when he hit that tin in the previous rally. I just pushed his tee position forward, then I hit it to the back, and he's then reacting and hit it into the tin. At his level, he should still be able to adjust to that. And not hit it in the tin, but maybe hit a slightly compromised shot. But he likes to live dangerously. He hits his drop shots low to the tin, and some of them come off and some of them don't. So yeah, that's just the way it goes with different styles of play. I try and use my movement and my speed and pace to attack a bit more, and my physicality. And yeah, he uses his skills. So it's just that's why squash is so interesting. There's no one size fits all. Lots of people make their own strengths, the ways they can win. There's not one way to win. But yeah, the rallies are getting a bit tougher in this game. I've let him back in there. So that shot there on the forehand front was I actually hit the ball slightly late, so it ended up hitting the sidewall and coming out and letting him back in. If I could have got onto that and punched it, a bit of a shorter backswing would have helped me to not hit the ball late. I could have just punched it down the line on the right hand side and got him lifting in the back corner on his backhand. That would have put me in a very strong position in the rally. I've ended up winning it anyway, but because I took a slightly larger swing, I ended up being a bit late on the ball and it clipped the sidewall. I could have just kept a much shorter swing, punched the ball down the line into space, and that would have been the preferable option. But luckily ended up in the rally anyway. One thing I am noticing is my straight drops have been good, but that's sort of the only attacking shot I've used into the front really. I've hit a couple of boasts from the back, but at the front and the mid-court on the volley, I've only really taken in some straight drops. I don't mind that for the start of the match and throughout the first game, but by the time we're sort of midway the second here, it would be nice to see a few more variations such as this actually, that there, trickle boast, that's known as. So it's a boast played from the front of the court. Now you try and lure your opponent into thinking you're going to hit straight, either a drop or a drive, and then at the last minute you sort of drop the hands inside the ball and hit a boast. That's called a trickle boast. Now it would be nice to see a few more of those sort of options, not just straight drops, but a few trickle boasts, a few cross court flick drops, just to kind of change up his movement pattern and get him doubting that I'm going to hit straight every time. That's a nice finish from him. That's an example of where you'll see the winners from him. I have hit a loose ball, but to be fair to him, he's tied it up very nicely. So yeah, let's just see if I can try and bring in some more variations here. I can't remember exactly if I do start using them, but that's what I would like to see going forward. Just a bit more expression, a bit more deception, and changing things up a tiny bit. It doesn't have to be drastic. It just means sort of, if I've hit 4 straight drops, maybe hit a variation. That sort of ratio, 20%. But it's very match specific. If I can tell they really don't like me hitting them in straight, and techniques breaking down when the ball's tight. I'm going to keep plugging away at that. But yeah, let's see. This is coming up mid stages to or back end of the second game, I think. A bit close to the back end again, but we've mentioned that already. That's something I can go away and think about, although I have actually got a lot better at that over the last month anyway. Yeah, Tang Ming Hong, interestingly, has actually just been playing for Hong Kong in the World Team Championships. That's a nice triple base from him. He had a tiny bit of hold at the top of his swing. Hold is where you don't just step in to hit the ball straight away. You pause slightly at the top of your swing before hitting it, and that can stop your opponent's movement and get them to sort of second guess themselves. So that was a nice hold from him and trickle. So he used two good ways to fool your opponent. He got my movement stopped, and then he changed the direction. So that was good from him. But yeah, as I was saying, he's just been playing in the World Team Championships in his home nation, Hong Kong. I'm not quite sure how they did in the championships, but I think they did okay. I think they came top 10. It must have been top 10. But yeah, it's just quite a cool experience for him, I'm sure. So yeah, let's see how this game pans out. And that's a good length for me. He's recovered well, to be fair to him. Another good length, give me an opportunity, taking it in straight and short. That volley drop was too deep. You could see he was playing his shot from around the middle of the court. I want to try and leave the ball a lot shorter than that. It's something I'm working on with my coach. Not hitting my drop shots so heavy and leaving the ball even shorter. That's nice. That's the movement you want to get him doing. The one where he's ended up flicking it into the tin. It's a deep lunge from him, and he's having to hit up on the ball, so then I can then attack him. I need to get my opponents into more deep lunges, and to do that, one method is to leave the ball shorter into the front of the court. If I can leave the ball a foot shorter, they're going to be having to lunge a lot deeper. So this is something I'm working on. I mentioned the soft hands earlier on in the video. This is nice. He's hit a tight ball there, and I've had to just flick it up. And yeah, that was a clever shot from him actually. It looked so simple, but he stood there with a very open body position. His hips and his shoulders are actually facing the front wall. So it looks to me like he's going to hit cross court, but then just before he's hit the ball, he actually shifted his shoulders slightly to show straight. So then I think he's going to hit straight, and then he's hit cross again. So he's got double bluffed me. It was quite clever. But when on your forehand, you can actually end up hitting quite straight from an open position. You don't always have to get so side on like a coach would tell you. Because you can hit the ball harder on your forehand from a compromised position. So actually you can stay quite wide, and your opponent doesn't know if you're going to hit straight or cross. And that was a nice straight attack from me there. I left the ball slightly shorter, which was nice. But yeah, I won the first game 11-4, and this game I'd say I'm about 9-6 up, something like that, and I'm just pushing now to try and take this game. Because going 2-0 up would be huge for me. But yeah, just a little push now at the end of this game to try and take it. This could possibly be game over actually. Yeah, it is. I finished off with a nice variation there actually, a cut across, which is a volley cut across. So it was, instead of a straight drop, I've cut it across the court, so it's kind of like a cross court drop basically, but you just switch up the angle you can fool your opponent. They think you're going straight drop and you just cross it last minute. You want to set up and make it look like you're going to hit a straight drop. You want to get quite side on to show that straight line, and then last minute, with a bit of an adaptation of the wrist, you sort of flick it across the court and change up the angle on it. But yeah, I'm 2-love up now, and I'm in a great position. I mean, I'm thinking about the match the previous week. I'm thinking, okay, the third was very tough in that match, so he's going to give everything now as he's 2-love down. He's got nothing to lose. He's going to go for a few more shots. As you can see here, he's taking the ball short twice in a row, and I can expect him to try and up it. Now is more important than ever for me to maintain the pressure on him, use my movement to get on the ball quickly, and attack to keep him under the pressure and not give him any chance to think he can come back. That was a really nice finish from me. I've hit a couple of nice backhand drops now, which is great. I mean, he's trying his hardest to switch the ball onto my deep backhand, because that's where I'm going to hit weaker shots out of, because you can't hit the ball as hard on your backhand. So if I can actually cut off his cross court on the volley before it goes behind me and gets to the back, I can actually turn defence into attack there, and he's trying to hit it into my weaker spot, and I can cut it off before it gets there. That's partly down to his width. He just needs to hit a wider cross court, but it's also a sort of game situational, deceptional type thing, where if he was hitting better straighter lines on the right hand side, it would force me to cover the right hand side more, and then that opens more space on the left hand side. I'm just saying right and left hand side and not forehand backhand, because we're righty and lefty. But yeah, quite a positive start to the third for me. Hitting a good length there, setting up an opportunity for me to take the ball in. So that's great. These are the things you've got to think about, pairing different shots. I've hit a very good dying length to his backhand. He's scraped it out, and I've tied it up to the front. That's how I try and win most of my points. It's a traditional type way of playing, English type way, if you want to call it that. But that's what I find most effective. So yeah, just think about when you've hit that dying length and they've hit the loose ball, think about how you can get on the ball quickly, and apply pressure to them. That was clever there. I showed the short ball and hit it long, and got him coming up in front of me and having to then go back to the back of the court. It's those kind of movements which can make your opponent more tired and give you opportunities down the line. Yeah, I'm getting him screeching around, lifting up on the ball, deep lunges. These are the kind of rallies that are going to help me towards the end of the game. Nice kill from him. He's sort of chucking everything in short. There was a trickle from me again, and then I can use the straight drop to tidy up and finish the rally. So this is all very positive from me. Yeah, playing well again, like last week, the week before this. That's a nice kill from him. It was so good, I thought it was down so low to the tin. He was quite good at that, to be fair, something that I need to be aware of next time I play him. If I've overhit my length, which means the ball has landed too close to the back wall and it's ended up hitting the back wall and ballooning up slightly, he's then got more time to do what he wants with the ball, and he's hit a few decent kills from there. So I guess it's something you guys can think about. If someone overhits their length, can you attack them to the front of the court, like Tang Ming Hong does quite well. Yeah, he's got me there. Nice finish. Oh, did he hit the tin? That's lucky from me. That is very lucky. the reason he hit the tin there, I don't know if you saw, but he sort of collapsed a bit, crouched over into his shot on the cross-court nick, and that's because he hasn't moved his feet properly to get into position. He's been a bit lazy, and just, I've hit a loose ball, but he hasn't moved his feet. If someone's hit a loose ball, you still have to get in a good position. You can't just think, oh, it's a loose ball, so I'll just hit it from where I am. No, you've got to be proactive. Still put yourself in the best position to hit the best shot. Why would you not? If you can just flick it in, but why would you do that if you've got time to get in a good position and hit a proper shot? Yes, it looks impressive if you flick it and it does go in, but actually he's hit an error there of a shot that he should have hit a winner. That's a nice shot from him. Poor width from me. I haven't hit it wide enough into the sidewall, and I've hit it down the middle, and he's just tidied it up. He's got a very nice touch and a good short game when I hit it loose, and yeah, he's just softened that up into the front of the court. He's starting to read my straight drops a little bit more now, so again, it'd be nice to see some more variations going forward. But yeah, looks like he's stepping up the court a little bit more, trying to volley, but I'm trying to do the same. Yeah, he's just run onto that straight drop there to put me under a lot of pressure, so I need to do something else with those straight drops. Now he's reading them too easily. I've managed to lift and get myself back into this rally, but if that happens too many times and I have to sprint around to get myself back into the rally, and that's going to be a lot of pressure for me to take. So going forward, I need to be smarter with those straight drops and try and make them a little bit more deceptive. He had quite a nice whip on his forehand actually. It was sort of a bit of a delay in his swing where his racket would come through late and he'd snap his wrist around the ball, and that was quite deceptive. So he was hitting quite nice straight lines down there onto my backhand, and then that one he's just snapped it cross court, which was quite effective. That's a nice cross court drop from him. I mean, I've missed my length, he's gone for the cross court drop and hit it dead in the neck. So impressive winner from him. But yeah. Nice attack from him to scrape it out. Good length. Yeah, something I need to do better on that backhand side actually is when he's hit a wide cross court onto my backhand, I haven't been able to cut it off mid court, and the ball can sort of come around the corners, and you have to really work hard to actually move backwards and get yourself behind the ball rather than just flicking it to the front of the court. It's really hard to explain that on the video. That may not make sense to some of you, but if they've hit their width, if they've cross-courted it and the width has hit the sidewall, halfway down the sidewall, just imagine that the ball is going to bounce off the wall and actually start to sort of go behind you. So you have to not just move backwards, but you have to move away from the ball as well, and you can end up sort of having to boast the ball out. But at this level, I'm trying to move a lot quicker to get behind the ball and actually be able to hit the ball straight as well. So if you can think about trying to move your feet quicker to get behind the ball, and actually give yourself time to hit the straight line, you've got a nice angle there to actually attack straight. So that's where you can turn defence into attack, which is crucial for squash. If you can start to win a couple of rallies that you used to lose, that's going to make a big difference to you. So instead of moving slowly and boasting it out, you can move quickly, hit a straight drive, put them under pressure, get them lifting, and then you can attack them. So yeah, a bit of some court cleaning going on now, I think, because the match is getting on a bit. We've started to sweat a bit more. You know, I sweat I sweat loads during my matches, so I need to change my t-shirt and my sweatbands and headbands basically every game. So yeah, court needs a good clean every now and then. Otherwise it does get a bit slippery. What I've done there is tried to look for a stroke. Now I think they've given a let, which is the right decision really. There wasn't enough space there. There was enough space there for me to probably play the ball. Some of you are probably looking at that in horror. At the pro level, I mean, a lot of the time that can be a stroke. I mean, I could have clipped him. That one was a let. I did have space. But as we're getting towards the back end of the third game and points become even more crucial, if you've got a chance to take a stroke, you're probably going to do it. But that was a good decision from the ref. Let ball, and we're resetting, playing the next rally out. So yeah. Some of you might get annoyed at this, but I'm going to tell you who won this game. Now, if you don't want to know, turn the volume off now, but Tang Ming Hong ended up taking this game. And I'm going to tell you that because we're going to try and look at why. Now, I've been dominating him for this match, this entire match, even from the first half of this game. I've been in front of him, I've been taking in attacks, I've been keeping him under pressure. Now, he ends up turning that pressure and winning this game, and bringing himself back into the match. And there's only a rally or two left of this, and it's about 8-all, I think. 9-8 to him, maybe. And we're just going to try and see why. Now, he's definitely stepped up and started volleying more. That's a nice volley kill there. And the fact that he's just applied a little bit more pressure to me by stepping up has made my shots slightly looser, and I haven't created quite as much pressure on him. More court cleaners going on now. But yeah, it's towards the back end of the game. I don't think it's actually 9-8. I think it's more sort of 7-all. But let's just try and see what other things he does. So he is volleying a bit more. This is because he's using his movement to get back to the tee a bit quicker. You can see him scurrying around a little bit more to try and hustle to get in front of me. He should have done this from the start of the match, to be honest, but yeah, he's doing it well now, which means I can't create as much pressure, and he's got me scrambling around the back of the court a little bit more. He has also hit a few good winners like that. Cross court drop into the nick and then cross court nick. He's hit a couple more winners this game, and the rallies are a bit longer, and he's not making as many tins. So he's done that well as well. But it's all come from a little bit more proactiveness in his movement. That's a really nice finish from me. The backhand drop into the nick. I could have still left it a bit shorter, but I'll take that. It's still a winner. But yeah, I want to try and see what other things he's done to flip this game on its head. Let's have a look. Yeah, it seems to be those kills. He's hitting a few kills, which is getting me to lift up on the ball, giving him chances to then hit down again and attack. It's mainly his movement. He's getting back to the tee a bit quicker. He's volleying a little bit more. He's hitting a bit more aggressively with those kills, hitting down the ball. And then when he has gone in for the winner, he's hit mostly winners and not errors this time. That's another nice winner from him. So he's he's cut out the errors. So those what would have been errors have turned into winners, and he's done that from his pace, getting to the ball quicker and volleying more. That's the big takeaway. So what I've got to think about is how I can stop him doing that, and the way I can stop him doing that is to get the ball past him. And then I need to think, right, how can I get the ball past him? Well, 2 ways really: hitting it super tight, or 3 ways: hitting it super tight, super hard, or super high. Those are 3 ways really. I mean, other things come into it, like using deception, sending him the wrong way, etc. But in simple terms, those are the 3 ways. It just means I have to get my accuracy up. He's hit a very tight ball there, and I've tried to hit a drop shot and hit the tin. When the ball's that tight, I should have just lifted and reset the rally. So I've gone from a strong position, 2-love up, and putting him under a lot of pressure, to suddenly letting him back in. It's now 2-1, so that's a bit of a shame for me to see this. I mean, I've seen it 3 times now. But yeah, I should have been better at noticing, okay, he's volleying me more, I need to lift it over him, hit it hard below him, or hit it wide around him, basically. Hit it wide or tight, so that he can't attack me off it. But it's tricky. You're trying to raise your accuracy as the match goes on, and you're getting more physically tired. But that is the game of squash. But anyway, he's serving at the start of the 4th game now. So first time we were into a 4th game was last week. The week before I'd beaten him 3-0. So he won that 3rd game 11-8 actually. So again, a fairly close 3rd game. So it just shows how sort of 1 week I've won a close 3rd game and won 3-0. Suddenly I've lost a close third game, and we're getting into a bit of a tussle. It's just the way it goes. Can I reset and close out this game to take the win? We shall see. I'm persisting with those straight drops, but to be honest, they're becoming a bit obvious. I need to switch it up a little bit more. We'll see if he keeps his sharpness of movement into the front. That wasn't sharpness of movement. Again, that was a lazy foot movement. He hasn't really adjusted with his feet, and he's just sort of tried to use his wrist to cut inside the ball and take the ball in short, and he's ended up hitting the tin. I noticed that actually at the start of the game, he starts off a bit more laboured, and then when he realises he's down, he'll then pick it up again. But that's just the way some players play, I guess. He looks so relaxed when he plays. But yeah, some players just play like that. I mean, it does allow you to soften up on the ball quite well when you're that relaxed. I'm lucky that I sort of clanked the ball off the sidewall on my return of serve, ended up hitting the winner somehow to take it. But yeah, let's have a look. Yeah, so that's a technical error. Now I've had words with my coach about this. Technical from a sort of fatigue / lack of concentration. Now I don't make those kind of errors at the start of the match. That came because I was stretched and I hadn't worked hard to get my feet in a better position. I've ended up reaching for the ball and hitting the ball out of court. That can be prevented by more mental sharpness, basically, and reminding myself to keep getting in good positions, and also holding my body better on the shot, so getting more balance. That was quite balanced, that shot there, although the execution wasn't there, but getting more balanced on your shot will help you hit a more accurate shot. And I was just sort of stretched out, reaching for the ball, and ended up pulling it out of court. So yeah, as you're getting tired and the match goes on, it's even more important to remind yourself to try and keep getting in the best position possible. Because if if you're a bit lazy and start sort of reaching and not getting in the best position, you will hit some more errors. That's just always going to happen. But yeah. Oh yeah, that's poor for me. So I've hit a cross court there. It's just clipped the tin. So actually, I think we've had 3 errors from me here. This is, I would say, a bit of a lack of concentration. I haven't completely gone, but it's sort of, it's more, I needed more of a reset. I need to just think, okay, we go again. You've lost that third, that's okay. Go back to, in your head, just love all. Try and stay like in the present moment and think, right, how am I going to win this next rally? And then when I've won that, how am I going to win this next rally? And just sort of mentally reset. Because I've made a few errors, which I think I made sort of 3 errors in the whole match up to this point, and then I've made another 3 straight away. So I've doubled their count in the space of 2 or 3 minutes. So yeah, if you find yourself sort of slipping out of concentration and hitting a few errors, what can be beneficial is just focusing on hitting through the ball to the back of the court for a few shots. Like, that's quite a simplified way of thinking about it, but at a club level, I would say that's probably the best way to go. If you've hit 2 or 3 errors, just try and find your lengths again, your lines and your lengths, before you then attack shot. Try and work them out of position a little bit more before you then attack, because you then don't have to attack so low on the tin. Yeah, let's just clip the tin again. So it's interesting, because if all of these shots had gone up, I would be saying, oh yeah, brilliant attacks from me. So it's a fine line. That backhand drop there, yes, you could sort of overanalyze it and say, oh, I shouldn't be going for that shot from that position. But actually, the level I'm trying to get to, I'm trying to be able to hit shots like that from that position. So unless I practice that, it's never going to happen. Unfortunately there, I just clipped the tin, which has given it another error. So you could say in a PSA match, maybe I shouldn't try and do those, but I'm thinking sort of longer term. I don't want to just be doing it in my training. I want to try and bring it into the matches, because otherwise they'll never come in. So I'm just sort of thinking years in advance here. Eventually I'll be able to slot that shot straight into the in the Olympics. I'll be slotting that. Anyway, yeah, let's see how the rest of this game goes. I'm hopefully not going to hit as many errors, but that's the thing, like, he's stepped up a little bit more. I've dropped off a little bit in concentration, and that's all it takes for me to then hit 4 errors here, and suddenly he's back in, majorly back in the match. He's working the ball around nicely. I've hit a nice drop there, forcing him to lift on the ball. So I've hit another error there. Now, I've sort of poked at the ball there and not completely finished with my follow through, if that makes sense. So I've stopped the follow through, basically. Those of you that play golf, you'll know even when you're chipping, you sort of still have to have a mini acceleration through the ball, or putting. You can't decelerate into the ball. That's what I've done there. I've just sort of pulled out of the shot a little bit and just sort of decelerated onto the ball, and whereas actually I needed a little bit of a pop, like a bit of a acceleration. I'm doing it with my hand, but you can't see it. It's just like a bit of a mini acceleration through the ball on that drop. That's what it needed. That's why I've just pulled out of it slightly, and it's not reached the front ball and gone into the tin. That's the best way I can describe it when you're chipping in golf. nice boast from him. That's clever. He's got me hitting out of the front right. I've hit cross court. Now obviously because I've hit from the front right, I'm now moving towards the tee from the front right. So the hardest place for me to then move to will be back into the front right, because I have to completely switch my momentum and go back. So he's then boasted the ball straight back into that corner, which is quite a hard movement for me. So you guys can think about that. You don't want to hit it too early, because then they're already stood in that quarter, aren't they? But if you can hold it slightly, let them come back to the tee, then hit it back into that quarter, it's the hardest movement to make, really, going back in and out of the same positions. So that was clever from him. The execution was great as well. He couldn't have hit a better boast, really. It was so low. So fair play to him. He's going all out attack now. Coming up towards the end of the fourth, he's built a good lead here. I would say about 7-3 up, 8-4 maybe. Another poor racket error there from me. So I think we're up to sort of 6 errors here. A couple of them are forced by him, but a few of them are just off the back of me sort of being a bit sloppy, basically, and not not paying enough attention to keep the pressure on. I've sort of relaxed a little bit at 2-love up, thinking, oh brilliant, 2-love up, same as last week, and now I'm going to win 3-love. Oh no, it doesn't work like that. At 2-love up, you actually need to be even more ruthless and more on it, because they've got nothing to lose. They're going to just give it their absolute all and just throw everything they've got at you. So you actually have to be even more aware and even more on it. And that's another nice boast there. And he's finished off that game. So I've got an interesting match for you here. I wasn't sure whether to say it at the start or not, but if you've made it this far, yes, we're now going into a 5th game. So you could say, why am I watching this video? It's supposed to be what you learned from the last video and how you took it into this one, the last match, and how you've done better this time than last time. Well, I don't feel like I've played a lot worse than last time. I played very well to get to 2-love up. I actually would say I won the first half of the 3rd game, if you could say that. But a bit of an increase in pace, volleying, and reduction of errors from him, coupled with me under more pressure, making a few technical errors, has flipped this game, and now suddenly we're into a 5th. So it's just such a fine line in squash between one week winning 3-0 and the next week going into a 3-2. But yeah, I've just clipped a tin on that one again. So yeah, the tins are keep coming. I wouldn't say they're massively fatigued tins. Now, some people, you can tell they've got tired and they start going for poor shots and hitting the tin. I haven't gone for poor shots. That backhand kill there was an alright option to go for. It's not like I've gone for some ridiculous cross-court nick. But I've just sort of lost my form slightly, collapsed over the shot and just clipped the tin. So this is why I'm saying keeping your form and your balance, and it is so important as you're starting to get tired or get into a lengthier match. It becomes even more important to hold those positions better. Anyway, it's 1-1 now. I've managed to get on the ball quickly in that second rally and punch it across the court past him. Yeah, coming up to that, close to the hour mark. I think this whole match was actually 59 minutes, so I think we're probably coming up to about 50 minutes now, actually. But yeah, we'll just see how the rest of this game pans out. It's 2-1 or 3-1 or something like that to him here. In the 5th game, it's a tricky one. There's no there's no right answer on how to approach a fifth game. It's so situational. Something that I've been really working on. I've lost a couple of 3-2s recently, which has been very frustrating in terms of prize money and points. If I can just win that game instead of lose it, I can make a lot, or not a lot, but a decent amount more prize money and more points for my ranking. And I've lost a couple of these crucial games, but actually they've taught me so much on how to play these kind of crucial points. And I'd rather lose the important match or the fifth games now rather than later on in my career, if you know what I mean. That's the sort of way I'm trying to flip it positively. But you just have to be a lot smarter with your attacks, not go for those fine margin shots, and sort of attack more with your movement and your pace of hitting, kills, and smart attacks, and just try and keep the pressure on your opponent to the back of the court as much as you can. Get them to force a weaker shot, and then you can counter. But I mean, that's how I do it. So other players go all out attack and it works for them. So you just got to sort of work with what you've got and how you basically revert back to your natural game is the simplest way of saying it. If you're a shot player, go for your shots. I mean, maybe rein it in a tiny bit because it's a fifth game. Go for your shots, but go for smarter shots. Go for the straight drop instead of the cross-court flick into the nick. Unless it's on, like if someone's hit a really loose ball around the middle, yes, of course, go for the nick. But go for slightly smarter shots. If you think you're way fitter than your opponent, then try and grind them down a little bit. You can't just hit length, because some players, although their fitness won't be great, a lot of players can sort of hit length around the back fairly simply. You do still have to move them front to back, but you can take in smart attacks like a few boasts or straight drops to keep them moving. So you just got to try and find what works for you. But I would say, in general, when it comes to the crunch points at the end of games, at the fifth game, the end of the fifth game, revert back to your natural game and just absolutely nail what you're good at. What's your strength? Nail it, you know. That's, in simple terms, that's the way to go. But yeah, it's a tricky one. I'm doing my best to stay in front of him and try and volley. There's the kills again now. As the match gets longer, the ball will start to drop off slightly. Now, drop off, I mean not be as bouncy, especially at the pro level when we're hitting the ball quite hard consistently. The ball will be starting to bounce less and less as we've hit it for longer. I'm just gesturing there to the ref that there's no sweat there, and I want the game to continue because I feel like my fitness is better than his, and I feel like he's just sort of creating a break because he's a bit knackered. So this is where I'm talking about playing to your strengths. So I feel like I'm fitter than him, so I'm trying to keep the game going. He's trying to break it down. Oh, I need to wipe the court, but actually I'm trying to speed it up. But yeah, we'll just see. Oh yeah, I'm saying the ball wasn't tight enough to get a no let. That was a no let. I was a bit unlucky. I mean, I would hope for at least a let there. But anyway, yeah, as I was saying, you just need to revert back to your natural game. I'm going to try and keep the pace high, volley, and keep the pressure on him to try and force errors out of him, because he has had a tendency to hit those errors, although it's only been at the start of the match. No, he's absolutely slotting it around. That was a loose ball from me, but tied it up very nicely from him, you know. So yeah, fair play to him. He is hitting his winners now. When it comes to the crucial points, he's hitting. But the week before, I was able to close out that crucial game. So just the way it goes. These are the kind of... Oh, he's giving a letter there. That's unlucky. Yes, it's such a tricky game, squash. Like, you can get so many things right, and then if the ref gives a couple of decisions that don't go your way, it can completely flip the game, you know. I mean, that's not a horrendous decision, but I feel like I could have probably won the point there. It was given by playing that ball, but anyway, you play on. Some players are really great at sort of influencing the ref with their argument and stuff, but I've never been good at that. I've always just sort of got on with it. But recently I felt like players have influenced the ref so much to my disadvantage that I need to try and get involved a bit more. So I've tried to sort of argue my point across, obviously being respectful, but actually, because it's not natural to me and it's something that I don't tend to do, since this match and a few others, I've actually gone back to not really saying anything and just staying in my lane and just concentrating on my own game, because that seems to be what works for me. Some players like to argue with the ref. I've tried to do it, it doesn't work, or at least it doesn't work for me. So yeah, I've just tried to move on. The ref's not going to change his decision anyway. But yeah, mid stage of the fifth now, mid to back end. He's it's about 5-all, 5-6 maybe to Tang Ming Hong, and it's all to play for. It's just who can execute their game plan slightly better. Can he keep it out of the tin? Can I play some good attacking shots? Can I keep it out of the tin even? I've actually stopped hitting the tin for the last few minutes, which is good, but I've also stopped attacking as much, so actually a few of those tins discouraged me from taking the ball in short. I've got frustrated there because I've pulled the ball towards me and given away a stroke basically. Yeah, these are the things that I need to just move on from that. I never used to get annoyed at those things, but when I've tried to teach myself to get more involved with the ref, it's actually worked negatively to me. So especially the next half of this season, starting in January, I'm just not going to get involved with the refs at all. It's not worth it. But yeah, I don't actually have a tournament until February. But anyway, yeah, February I'm heading to Norway for a 3K. Which should be cool. January will just be a big block of training, which is nice. I've had 6 tournaments in the last 7 weeks, so it'd be nice to have a big block of training. But anyway, let's go back to the match here. We're coming to the crunch point of this fifth, and we'll see who can stay strong and confident with the win. When you're just watching these rallies, it's so hard because it looks so 50-50, like no one looks like they're dominating the other, which they're not, but he's just sort of forced a few errors from me. I just clipped the tin on that one because he's hit such a tight ball, and as you can see, after each of these rallies, I'm starting to get more frustrated, and there I've hit an error to lose the match. So there it is. I mean, I don't know. I hope this has still been useful for you guys, because I feel like I haven't sort of unlocked any massive gems there. But it's just the way it goes in fifth games. Sometimes it doesn't go your way. I hit a few too many errors. But let's hear what I had to say straight after.
Right guys, before I say anything, I want you to just check out this view that I've got right now. That is Lake Geneva for you. Anyway, let's get into it. So the reason I didn't film this last night was because, as you can imagine, it was a pretty tough loss to take. I really didn't feel like talking to the camera last night, so I'm doing it the next morning after that tough loss for me. I mean, this video, this two-part series, is kind of a weird one, because if I'd lost the first match 3-2 and then won the second one 3-love, I would have been a lot happier than the other way round. Also, as isolated matches, having a 3-2 with the world number 89 is supposedly good compared to where my ranking is 100 spaces behind him. So it's a tricky one to take. Obviously, beating him one week and then losing to him the next is pretty tough, pretty brutal. And yeah, I'm gonna have to do some good analysis. I obviously haven't watched it back yet, even though you guys will have just seen my analysis, but I will be watching it back on the train on the way home and just seeing what went wrong. Obviously, I started the match so well. I started where I left off. I'd won those 3 games last week, and then I won 2 straight up this week, so I'd won 5 games in a row. And I almost kind of expected the game to keep going that way. This court was slightly different. It had a lower tin, and the ball started to drop off as the match went on. So that, combined with he stopped finding the tin, he upped his game, and yeah, I got a bit tentative potentially, or I actually made a few more errors this time than I did last time. I played a slightly different game, and it worked for the first couple of games, and then yeah, and then he fought well to take the match 3-2. So yeah, it's not the ideal video of, oh, I lost to him, now I've worked out what went wrong and I've beaten him. It's kind of the opposite, which is weird, but hopefully it gives you a taste of professional sport and what it's like to actually compete in these medium levels of the PSA Tour. Obviously this kind of stuff happens all the way up and down it, any sport, but it's the way that you deal with these kind of results and how you take that forward is what defines you. So I've got to try and see the nice side of things where I am in this beautiful part of Europe, down on the banks of Lake Geneva here in Switzerland. I'm going to leave you from here, and hopefully you found that video interesting, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.